Hello everybody, my name's Gary, welcome back to the channel, and it's barely been 24 hours since England were drawn in Group L alongside Croatia, Ghana and Panama. We knew after the draw last night that further announcements were going to be made in relation to where and when England were going to be playing. I am going to do a real deep dive on each team we're playing as well, look back at our previous history against them, look at how they stack against England currently, grab a cup of tea, and let's break down England's group for the FIFA World Cup. Let's get the dates up because these are important. It's Wednesday the 17th of June against Croatia. It's a 9 o'clock kickoff time UK time. The second game against Ghana is Tuesday the 23rd of June in Boston. That's also a 9 o'clock kickoff time. And then the final game is a Saturday night, 10 o'clock at night, 27th of June against Panama in New Jersey. For those of you whose American geography isn't that great, I've put a map up here. As you can see, two of the games will be on the East Coast. New Jersey isn't on this map, it's essentially a part of New York. Boston, of course, in that northeast area, and Dallas in the centre. And I think it's looking pretty good for England from a heat perspective. Not that Dallas is going to be cool, but they are going to be playing in a air-conditioned stadium, from what I understand, with the roof closed. So I don't think temperatures, I mean, they still play a part, obviously, but I don't think it's going to be a huge factor for England. I think we've got off quite lucky there, really. Of course, England's first match is against the most competitive team in this group, which is Croatia. But I'm not going to start with them. I'm going to start with the lowest ranked team in this group, and that is Ghana, surprisingly. I was surprised that Ghana are ranked significantly lower than Panama. Now, England and Ghana have only ever played together once in our entire history, and that was in 2011, and it was a 1-1 draw at Wembley Stadium, so a bit of an upset that night. Ghana scoring a last-minute equaliser to take the draw. Ghana are making their 5th World Cup appearance, and they qualified quite comfortably with 8 wins, 1 draw and only a single defeat, so they're on good form. Their key player is, of course, Bournemouth's Semenyo, who is an absolute baller in the Premier League and already rumoured to be joining a really top club potentially over the summer, so he is going to be their biggest threat. Mohamed Kudus as well at Tottenham may be familiar to some Premier League fans, but England's record against African nations is pretty good. Out of 8 occasions we've faced African nations, we've won 5 of them, drawing 3, so we have never lost to an African team at a World Cup finals. And of course we beat Tunisia in 2018 and Senegal in 2022 in the knockout rounds as well, so they're our last 2 African opponents, and again they were very positive results against teams from Africa that at the time looked very challenging. I am surprised that Ghana are lower ranked than Panama, because many England fans will know Panama from the 6-1 thumping that we gave them at the World Cup a few years back. Other famous Ghanaian footballers that Premier League fans may be aware of: Jordan Ayew, Thomas Partey as well, Tariq Lamptey. So there's been some good players over the years, but Semenyo is by far their biggest threat at the moment. He's only 25 years of age and absolutely firing on all cylinders, and we've got to be careful of him. Come on, I mean, England have to be favourites against Ghana here. I would expect them to be not a pushover. I expect them to put up a competitive fight, but with what England have in attack, I can't see this being a difficult fixture for England. I really can't. Moving on to Panama, who are currently ranked 30th in the FIFA World Rankings. Before I go on, I know FIFA World Rankings aren't everything, but they are a good gauge roughly of where these teams are at. Panama are, of course, from CONCACAF, and they qualified from the 3rd round Group A, topping their pool after winning 3 and drawing 3 of their fixtures. Like Ghana, England and Panama have only played each other once, and that was that 6-1 win back in the World Cup a few years back. As you remember, it was a great night for England. It was a great night for the Panama fans as well. I think they were absolutely loving it when they scored that goal. England were overwhelmingly the better team that night, and there aren't going to be any players within this Panama squad that are going to really be familiar to your average England fan. So I think English fans will be looking at Panama from the outside, at least, thinking that this is the easiest fixture within the group. The FIFA World Rankings certainly won't reflect that, because there's a huge difference. Again, Panama ranked 30th, Ghana ranked 72nd. According to the rankings, there should be a huge gulf in the actual ability of these two teams. I don't think Panama and Ghana are better than Serbia or Albania, who England beat to qualify and beat them comfortably as well. I think Panama and Ghana will be quite a competitive fixture as well, and I can't pick a winner there. I know very little about Panama, it has to be said. Now, the big one, of course, is Croatia, currently ranked 10th in in the world. They were the highest ranked team from pot 2, and I go back to before, if there weren't 3 hosts for this World Cup, Croatia would have been a pot 1 team based on their FIFA World Rankings. So there's no doubt that this is a hugely difficult opponent for England, and probably the hardest team England could have got, at least on FIFA rankings anyway, from pot 2. Croatia have given me, as an England fan, some of my worst moments. Of course, the semi-final defeat at the World Cup, the night they beat us when McLaren was sacked, stopping us from qualifying for the European Championships. I think England fans have forgotten in recent years, or since that World Cup semi-final loss, England have had the beating of Croatia, playing them twice since, once in the UEFA Nations League where we won 2-1, back in 2018, if you remember Harry Kane scoring a brilliant goal in the 85th minute, and of course as our opening game at Euro 2020. So England-Croatia opening a tournament together, this isn't new territory for either team. We did open together at Euro 2020, and of course England won that day 1-0 thanks to a great goal from Raheem Sterling. England and Croatia do have a lot more history, as you would expect, given the fact that they're both European teams. We've played Croatia 11 times, winning 6 of those, drawing 2, losing 3, but we've only scored 22 goals against them and conceded 13, so they've not been high-scoring affairs by any means. England do have the beating historically over Croatia, but look, underestimate Croatia at our peril. Every single nation needs to learn from this. Croatia have been an ageing side for the past 10 years, it seems, but they are still going strong. Luka Modric is arguably still their strongest player. He is, of course, 40 years old, but they've got other players, just Guardiola, Mateo Kovacic. But England, against European nations at World Cups, isn't great, really. We've only won 2 of our last 9 group game meetings at a World Cup, and one of those was that 3-0 victory against Wales at the last World Cup. So historically, England playing European teams at the group stage of the World Cup, we haven't done that great. I think they're comfortably England's most difficult opponent in this group, and I think it's really hard the fact that we're both opening with this fixture, because either team then is going into that second game really against it, and I think more so for England, because we literally play Croatia and then what some people are saying is our second hardest game, which is Ghana, second. So England could be right up against it if we lose, against Croatia. I don't think Croatia will beat us. I think they could certainly nick a draw. I think Croatia would have obviously much preferred other opponents out of pot 1 as well. So I don't think they'll be that pleased with this group neither. I don't think overall this is a group of death, or anywhere close to being a group of death. I've seen discussions around that. I think actually in reality there is quite a gap between these teams, particularly between England and Croatia and Panama and Ghana. I think it really does split in half. I think England and Croatia are comfortably the 2 favourites for this group. But the fact that they are starting the tournament facing each other, I think changes the dynamic slightly, because one of these teams may then be starting the tournament with a negative result, which does change it for Panama and Ghana when they play them next, because either team that hasn't picked up those 3 points is probably going to get a little bit twitchy. They're going to need to keep the head, keep the composure. They're going to be under certainly a lot more pressure than Panama and Ghana, because both Croatia and England will be favourites in those games. So it's interesting the way the schedule of this World Cup has worked out. But look, overall, England have a positive record against these nations. I do expect, my minimum expectation as an England fan is that we win all 3 games. Why wouldn't it be? It doesn't mean that I don't think these teams could pick up a result against England. Of course they can't, but I'm looking at this as England, 4th ranked team in the world, and many people's favourites, or one of many people's top teams going into this tournament. I, of course, should be hoping that we can make it 3 wins from 3 and topping this group. We already know how important it is going to be to top your group if you want to avoid some of the really big teams until the semi-finals. If you're new to this channel and you've enjoyed this content, please hit the subscribe button. I am now going to be reaching out to fellow channel creators from these nations to do some collaboration, so watch this space. Let me know who you think will top the group, who do you think will go through, who do you think will go out. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all on my next video.